Welcome to the Adoption Journey podcast. I am your host, Tarsha Smith, and thank you for joining us on yet another episode. Today in the building, I have another fellow adoptee, Patrice. Hey, Patrice.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So she is going to share her adoption story. Again, she is an adoptee. And you can go ahead and let the people know who you are. You can do your own little introduction if you'd like.
Okay, so my name is Patrice. I was born in LA, California. Um, Started off, I knew that I was adopted from, I guess, the start, I would say.
Okay.
So I was pretty much born, and then I knew that I was adopted because I was I was small, so I got adopted when I was 3.5. So from a young age, going to house, I pretty much already knew in my head that I was pretty much adopted because I wasn't with my family.
So you remember going to foster homes,
Yes,
a
I do.
little memory of that.
Yes, I do. And so after a while, like my fourth foster home I was in, my social worker, she was like, "You have a brother." So I'm like, okay. So I thought I was by myself, but I wasn't. So I met my brother. He was older than me, so we're only like uh about 10 years apart. So he was about 10 or 9 when I met him, and I
Okay,
was
so wait, hold on. I'm just understanding. So you have a sibling who was
yes,
also in the system, but they had separated the two of you.
yes. So I didn't know I had a sibling.
Right. Okay. Go
Right.
ahead.
So when we met each other, it was the eye to eye contact. We, had a great time. We felt that connection. So eventually, our social worker was working on to having us both be in a home together.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want us to be separated, or nothing like that. So we we got in a home together, stayed together. We went to another foster home, and it was like our last foster home together. And then eventually in 2004, we got adopted by a family. Um, it
So
was,
how old were you okay, so at this time, 2004,
uh-huh.
you're both together. How old are you and how old is he?
Okay. At that time, he was turning 12, and
Okay.
I was turning 4. So I was 3.5 turning
Three
4.
and a half, 4. Okay. Okay. I'm with you now. Got you. All right. So you've been adopted and you're in your forever home, if you want to
Yes.
call it that.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we had some first like weeks with them, going out places and all that.
Mm-hmm.
All that was pretty cool. And then afterwards, years start to develop with the family, and it didn't really turn out the way that I thought it would be. So the first week, it was like okay and cool, but the parent put their hand on me, and I told my social worker. And I'm not sure what happened with that, but me and my brother stayed put in that home. And so they finalized everything, and we officially became, their child. And so years went on, and getting older and learning how to be responsible, and, creating a life with this family.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to know who my biological parents were
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, I already knew that I was adopted because being in
Right.
foster homes and
In the
stuff.
foster house. Mm-hmm.
So I always wanted to, like, say, for instance, you would always want to know who you look like, and get
Mm-hmm.
your pictures from. So I would sometimes try to push that on to my adopted parents and just say, "Oh, I look like him. Oh, I look like her."
But you
And
do have your brother with you.
yeah,
Did you have
um,
somebody with you
yeah,
that's biological?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question before I forget. Did you go to did white people adopt you or black people?
Black.
Okay. And um, was your brother having issues with them as well, or was it just you?
Both of us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, both
I
of us.
feel like we're turning the corner. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So yeah.
So you start asking these questions about who you look like because now you're getting curious about where do I come from, and
Yes.
when you approach your adoptive parents with this, are they receptive or do they have information?
Um.
Was it an
Um.
open or closed adoption?
It was. I believe it was finalized, so I think it was closed.
Okay,
But they never really told me anything because they don't know anything about my family. So they just knew that I was in a system, and they just wanted to adopt somebody. Somebody's child.
just somebody.
Somebody's child.
Okay, so you grow up in this home. Well, what was your childhood like? Was your childhood good?
It was cool. It was fun. I mean, I honestly, I feel like I kind of grew up kind of fast in a way. Like I
What's
had a
the
childhood, but not like that. So it was more of like, I guess you can say, tell a child to do chores and all that. So at the age of like 4, I was washing dishes, washing my own
you
clothes.
had just got there at 4?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So I mean that is a little different, but yeah. So I had my own little thing that they had me to do, and they were kind of my adopted parents was raised different, so they kind of was raised up having to teach kids how to do stuff like that, so they can I guess be responsible for themselves. You know what I mean?
okay. But
So
other than that, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but other than that, like you had a pretty normal childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother too?
Yes, he did as well. We both
Okay.
did.
Okay. All right. And so we get to I want to know if you ever had an opportunity to start looking for your birth family.
So I didn't at that moment when I was young because I didn't want to feel like they were not loved and wanted to feel like I didn't want them to be kind of jealous in a way of because the only reason why I'm saying this is because um of course they had their own son and then they had us to complete their family, and I just didn't want to come out of the family into trying to search for stuff, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I do hear you. Why do you think that they would have felt jealous or
Um, because I seen some signs from my biological, I mean my adopted mother. So I just decided not to go search for them things like that. But when I got to like 16, 17, I started to ask some questions, but it was she was kind of more like lenient, kind of off. So I just didn't really, you know, start to dig in. But they did, both of them, they did take me to the side and ask me, you know, do you want to find your biological family? And I was like, yes. And one statement that she said was, if you do, don't forget about us. So that kind of went to my head and was like, okay, I'm just not gonna do it, you know.
I
So
have such a problem with that because, and I have said it a whole lot of times, adoptive parents need to be mindful that even though you give your adoptive child this beautiful life, we
yeah,
are still human and we came from somewhere.
right,
And that natural curiosity is there. I think in most cases, it doesn't mean that we're trying to replace you. We
right,
just want to know where we come from. And I'm
right,
sure that's that natural curiosity that you had. Unfortunately, some adoptive parents take that personal.
correct.
Y'all stop that. Stop doing that. It's not a lot more often. In more cases than not, it isn't. It doesn't have it. It's not about you.
Right.
It's not. Um. So they had their own biological son. Was he older than the two of you?
Yes. Yes. At that
Okay.
time, I believe he was 17, about, yeah, 15 to 17 years old.
Now, how was the relationship with amongst the? So there's three of you total.
Yes.
Okay. So what was that like?
It was cool. I mean, the only thing that I really didn't like about it was I was the only girl. So I didn't have any sisters, So I just had brothers. So they kind of made me tough and, so I hung around a lot of boys.
Yeah, but you were the girl and the baby. That.
Yeah. So I had some little lean ways and,
Yeah.
and,
Okay, and so she made that statement to you and it made you kind of back down. Do you
right.
ever get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm past that. I'm about
Yes.
to look at.
So I decided so in 2017, I had a thought that became a dream. And what I mean by that is my biological brother, he passed away in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
due to a car accident. That's how he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So when he passed, I told myself that um, I'm going to find our family. We need to know who our family is. And
Okay, but
uh,
wait, hold on. Did you know them by 2018?
no, I didn't. I just know that when my brother passed away in
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This is
2020,
the brother that you grew up with,
yes,
passed away in 20. I'm
yes.
with you.
So when he passed away, like I said, I told myself, I'm going to find our family. There's
Okay,
no doubt about that because
right.
I didn't want to leave this earth without knowing who I came from. And
Hmm.
that I didn't want to be lied to. I didn't want anybody to make up stuff about where I came from. So I was
Right.
like, well, I'm going to just search for myself since my brother's not here with me to do it because he didn't have a chance to actually, reach and find stuff. He tried to go back to our hometown to see if he could find some stuff that he remember, but
Mm,
he didn't find anything besides his friends that he grew up with.
mm.
So I was like, okay, I'm a go find.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you start on this journey?
So this journey, I also told myself that before I passed, I want to have a documentary movie about my life and my brother's life as well. Uh,
Okay.
he left a legacy behind, so he had a son, um, and he also had a daughter. So when he passed away, we found out his wife was pregnant, and so he left us a daughter behind. So I have a nephew and a niece.
Okay. Okay.
So, um, like I said, I went on with my life. I had some trials and tribulations with my adopted family. So I kind of, I'm stick to myself now. I'm
Mm.
pushing forward. I
Did you
graduated,
go no contact or you just kind
no,
of?
no contact at all. And right now, I'm only 22. I just turned 22 on August the 13th.
Oh, happy belated.
Thank you.
How long have
So,
you been no contact?
say it again.
How long have you had no contact?
For about 2 years.
That's a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah,
Okay.
about 2 years. I,
Okay.
like I said, I recently graduated college.
Congratulations.
Thank you in May. Um, Also, I am a photographer, so I take a lot of pictures and do websites and things. So I have things in place that you know,
Yeah, it's in you to move
yeah,
that direction. Okay.
yes,
So you have started the reunification
yes,
journey.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
So,
um, what I decided to do was I had a friend that did ancestry. So
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I heard of ancestry, but I never really knew about, all the DNA stuff and, how people could trace you and all that stuff like that. So I had asked my friend about it and she showed
Mhm.
me what the app was. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, is this fake or not? Because I don't want to, do that. And then I can't really get nowhere with it.
Yeah.
So she showed me it and I was like, okay. Um, I figured out what different nationality histories and stuff like that I am. And then it gave me people that was matches within my DNA because I had to take a little sample, send
Yeah.
it off. And, a lot of people pull it up. So I have my original birth certificate with my name and my biological parents' name on it.
Have you always had that?
Yes. So my adopted parents, they showed it to me when I was um about maybe 16, 17, because at that time I was looking for a job and stuff like that. So they showed me my original and then they showed me the one that has their name on it. So since I was adopted, they did change my name on my birth certificate. So they just showed me the two with the two different change of names, and
They changed your first name or just the last
changed,
name?
they changed my middle and last name.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, because see, you were 3.5. It's not like you were a little tiny
yeah,
baby.
yeah. They
Okay.
changed my middle and last name. They wanted to change my first name, but it didn't happen because they knew I already knew how to spell my first name.
Yeah.
Like, nah, we just gonna change the middle and last name.
Okay.
So that's a little, different to me. But they changed my brother completely. Like his whole name was changed.
At 10?
Yeah, they changed his whole name.
Why would
That
you do that at 10?
no, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like they wanted us to be so connected with their family because we didn't have their blood. So I feel like they wanted us to be in their family in a way of just saying, since I'm giving you my name, so you're a part of my family. If that makes sense.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
And I also understand changing the last name.
Right.
I get that. But the first name, I
Yeah.
don't know. And especially when you're so much older. In
Yeah.
my case, I was adopted at 5 weeks old. I was never given, at least on paper, I was never given the first name.
Okay.
So my adoptive parents did name me. That makes sense. I was a little newborn. But
Right.
10, I don't get that.
I don't,
Okay.
but like I said, life goes on, and
Yeah. So you did the D
but you can. I mean, now legally, you can change your name when you get older. So,
you can. You can. And so you do the DNA test and so you start getting hits of people in your family. Do you reach out to them?
yeah. So actually, two have reached out to me. I
Oh,
um, since I was looking for my biological parents, I knew what their names were, and I
mhm.
would state that they were born in. And I knew what my biological mom's birthday was, but she didn't have my biological dad's birthday on the birth certificate. So,
Okay.
I, for me, that was kind of like troubling for me because I'm like, okay, well, I don't know his birthday, so how can I search him up? So many years I've always searched up my parents' name, but I don't know what they look like. I never,
You
saw them.
haven't located them.
I never, I don't remember.
So when these relatives reached out, were they distant relatives, like a second cousin, third
So
cousin?
yes, they were a second to third cousins of mine off my I just claimed it to say off my dad's side because in the DNA it said that they were from Texas. So I'm like, okay. My father is originally from Texas, so I said they got to be at least somewhat connected to his side because my mom is from Cali.
Okay. But and when they reached out to you, what did they say?
So they text me off of chat first saying, hi, blase blase.
Mhm.
Do you how do you think we're related? Because our DNA samples matched and said that we were, second to third cousins. And then I spoke and I was like, hey, my name's Patrice. I'm actually trying to find my biological parents. This is their names, and is it possible for us to talk over the phone? And they were like, sure, yeah. So he was like, call me at this time, or you could text me right now, and then I'll give you a call back after I get off work. So I was like, okay. I talked to a lady first. We talked for a good maybe like 35, 40 minutes.
Mhm.
But the stuff that she was telling me, to me, honestly, I feel like it wasn't information that I was looking for.
Okay.
So I just decided to kind of, step back away from her and try to listen to what this man has to say. So
Okay.
it was a guy, and he's listed as my second cousin. So I spoke with him. This happened in the ending of February, going into March. So the ending of February, I started to speaking with my second cousin, and he, was talking with me and was asking me about, the family, and who do I think is related to him. And when I mentioned that I was looking for my father, and when I said his name, he automatically popped up from his head and was like, I know him. And I was like, you do? And I'm like, well, I never seen him before, so I'm just new to this. Like, I know,
Right.
like, I was just a little baby, at the time. So he was like, okay, well, let me confirm with my brother and my dad, and we'll, keep talking. So I was like, okay. So the next day he spoke with me again, and he was like, everything was confirmed that, you are our family. So I was like, okay. Then he started talking about our grandfather.
So they knew that the family knew that you existed.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he told me to send a picture of myself to him. And I did. And when he saw that picture, he was like, yeah, I look just like my father. Okay. And so he asked me, he was like, well, have you ever seen your dad? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna send you a picture of him when he was in middle school and high school, and he emailed it to me. And when I opened it up, I was in shock. Like, I could not believe that I looked like my dad so much. Like, I'm just a replica twin of him.
But wait, so here's my question though. He's talking to you and he's confirmed with the other family, but
Yes,
where maybe you're getting to that. I was just gonna say, but where's your dad? You're
yes.
getting to that, aren't you?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, let me be patient.
It's all
Okay.
right. So it's all right. So I saw the pictures, and then he asked me if I ever tried to search online for him. And I was like, yeah, I have, but I've never gotten anywhere. So he was like, he looked online, and then he said the reason why I haven't seen his Facebook account is because his last name was changed. So what I have on my birth certificate, he don't have that last name no more. So that was his dad last name, and he changed it to his mom maiden last name. So I don't know, my dad's the parents' last names, and I don't know any of them. So he was like, okay. So he told me to search that up. I did. We both found it. We both added him on Facebook. Now he had like 5, 7 accounts, so I just added every last one of them. He told me to just say a little message to him. So I was like, "Hi, Mister. You know his name. Is it possible for us to talk? Because I don't want to just jump out and say, hey, I'm your daughter. If
Yeah, hey dad.
yeah, like I don't say that because like I know it's not really proof, besides the looks, but we need DNA tests. So
Hmm.
um, when I saw that and when I texted that to him, eventually that Friday, he added me on Facebook. So I was like, I was getting happy. I was like, okay. I'm getting some progress here because I've been trying to do this for years and
Right.
I have not got anything. So he added me, and then I was like, okay. So the beginning week of March, that first Saturday, he texted me back saying, sure thing, what's on your mind? So I'm like, okay, I'm speaking to this man that's supposed to be my daddy, and you saying that. So it's like, I mean, like, what's the next thing that I should say? So that's what's rolling in my head. So I'm like, okay, let me just text him and saying, do you know who I am? Because I was like, do he really know who I am? So let me just put that down. So when I did that, he texted me back and he was like, yeah, you remind me of a special woman I met 20 something years ago in Long Beach, California. That's where I was born at. Well, yeah, I was raised up kind of in that area, but that's really where my mom was raised up and born at. So I was like, okay, this is the right person. So then afterwards, I was like, I texted him back saying, "Can you call me at this number?" And less than 5 seconds, right after sent that message out, I get a call on my phone and it's just ringing, and I'm like, okay, should I answer it?
Yes.
So I answered it, and I was like, hello, and he was like, Patrice, baby, I am so sorry. He just started crying. I started crying. I said, Daddy, what happened to me? I just started pouring my eyes.
Oh my gosh.
He was like, he
So
told
okay, stop. So how did you feel in that moment? Because now you are hearing him
yeah.
for the first time ever.
First time it was very emotional for me because, like I said, I never knew where I came. I never knew my parents at all. So
Yeah.
it was it was a great experience for me. I mean, like I said, I poured my eyes out on it.
So did he tell you, do you mind sharing what happened?
Sure. So pretty much, um, he told me he was with my mom.
Hmm.
He recently left Texas, came to California, and then he found my mom. They were together for 2.5 years, and then she became pregnant with me, and they had a little incident, not with him, but she had an incident with someone else while she was pregnant with me, and um, she got locked up. Once she got locked up, she had me, and he couldn't, find her. So once he couldn't find her, he didn't
Hmm.
know what to do. So after
So
he,
your brother that you grew up with, this is not his dad.
no, we have
Okay.
the same
Same
dad.
mom, different dad. Okay, I'm with you.
So once he couldn't find us, will find me, and my mom, he just kind of stayed in the same area where she lived at. So he didn't go anywhere. And
So she gets locked up and has this baby in
yeah,
jail, and nobody contacts the father.
um, he went there, but he didn't have the right verification and stuff like that because he just left Cali. I mean, he just left Texas going to Cali. So
There are so many stories that we hear, that I hear, where the father was denied
yeah, so like
and really should not have been denied.
yeah, so they were like, no, you're not allowing him to go back there to see me or my mother. So he cried.
Mm.
He couldn't do anything, so he just stayed put at where she was raised up at and stuff like that. So that's kind of how my storyline went about, and they pushed me automatically in the system. So like I said, I've never seen my mom before. So after she gave birth to me, that's when I just went into
You just
foster.
went right into the system.
Yeah,
She was locked up.
yeah.
And okay, wow. And so how long ago did this happen? Did you meet your biological dad?
Yeah, so this year
Oh,
it
this just happened.
happened. Yeah.
So how often are you nurturing that relationship? Like what's that
Um
looking like?
yes, I am since the beginning of March, And until now, I mean, we talk every day nonstop.
Oh. Do you
Um,
have other siblings?
yes, I do.
Okay.
And I'm the baby again. I didn't be honest with you because I'm like I've already been the baby, and I wanted to have a sibling underneath me, but I guess unfortunately, they,
So, what's that relationship like with your siblings?
it's cool. I only talk to one right now because everybody's kind of scattered.
Okay.
So yeah, I only spoken to two so far.
Okay. Were they surprised?
When they saw me, well, when they saw the pictures of me, because I sent them to my dad, and then he sent them to his kids, and they were like, "Ain't no doubt about it, like that's your child." And then
You must look just like this man.
I, so then eventually I asked him for respect too, but also since I knew that his name was on my birth certificate,
Hmm.
he didn't sign it. So I was like, okay. And because he didn't sign it was because he wasn't there when I was born, of that situation I was telling you about.
Right.
I was like, okay, just to confirm, I know that we look alike, but are you okay with doing a DNA test? And he was like, yeah, for sure. So I was like, okay, I'm happy. I'm glad he didn't deny me. I'm glad
Hmm.
because a lot of kids I know that get adopted, then they try to go back to find their family, and sometimes they reject them or don't
Yeah.
want them in their life and stuff. So I was like, that it didn't happen to me.
Hmm.
And it didn't go that way. So I was like, I'm so grateful to God for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
So,
we took the DNA. And since he's in California and I'm way in Atlanta, so
okay.
we had a long distance, DNA, and we waited for it, and it came back positive that he was my daddy. So that was great.
That's amazing.
Like,
And so, go
it
ahead.
was like I already knew that you was my child from when you first added me on Facebook. I knew right then.
He was probably thinking like you were thinking, like, what am I going to say?
Yeah,
How do
he,
I approach this? Yeah. Wow. Okay. So what about your mother, your
um,
biological mother?
we are still on the search for that. I
Okay.
did not, and he don't really remember because he had an accident in 2006 where he pretty much possibly almost died from a hit and run, and so he had to be in the hospital for a year and a half. So once that occurred and happened, when he told me that, I was like, wow. And he was like, I really could have lost my life. And, you probably would have never found me if I, you know, didn't pretty much recover from what he had to go through. And then on top of that, what I, reached out and went to the ancestry and did the DNA was
Right.
to connect to each other. So, with my mom, like I said, he told me the story about what happened with her,
Does he
and
have any old pictures of her?
no,
Then,
doesn't. No, I asked that multiple times, and he was
yeah.
like, "Have anything really?" So,
Wow. And when you did the ancestry DNA, excuse me, you only got hits from your paternal side, nothing on your maternal side.
right,
Okay.
and that's where I'm kind of stuck at a loop at.
Right.
So I've been reaching out to like my the adoption people, and when I spoke to them, I asked him if there was a way for me to contact her or get in touch with her, and what they told me was that they couldn't reach out to her, but she had to write a consent form before that. But I'm like, how is that possible if the child was taken from the parent, pushed all the way into the system
Right.
without her writing something? So I'm like, is it possible for you to like send a letter out to her trying to state that her child is trying to get in contact with her, and if she's okay with that, then
They're not gonna do that.
yeah, they was like, no, we can't do that. So that kind of that did kind of discourage me, and
Don't
I
let it discourage you.
about it. But I told myself just to keep pushing, and I tried
Absolutely.
ways, and then me and my dad, we started talking. I um I sent him stuff that I found online of her, and he was like, "You are pretty good with this internet stuff."
You know what?
So
It's something in us adoptees when we get to digging
yeah,
and finding, so we can find some stuff now.
yeah. It was, how did you get this address? How did you get that phone number? This address?
Find some stuff.
I sent it to him, and he confirmed some things that it was on my mom's side, but it was her mom's address and all that. But um he was like, she probably don't live there anymore, and her mom then passed off a long time ago. So I'm like, okay, so I gotta find some other stuff to figure out, where other people are. And
So, what about your on your dad's side? I know you told me about siblings. What about grandparents and aunties? And have you
right,
had like the big family gathering yet? Because I know you just found them.
right. So he has a brother that he was raised up with. They were actually, friends in a way, and then his
Hmm.
his, his family took in my father, and so they were kind of raised up as brothers. So his brother lives out here where I am, and spoke over the phone, and and everything was afterwards. He decided, since after when we did the DNA and it was 100%, he decided to come down here to see me for the first time. Yes, so my biological father came on my birthday to see me. It was, I
How
mean,
was that?
it was really good. Like, I didn't have that, crying moment again, because I feel like I already did that in the beginning of when I heard his voice. So after I heard his voice, everything was cool, and then we started talking and FaceTime each other. So it was kind of normal for me to see. So when he actually physically came down here, and he actually, like, we were at a restaurant, and he saw my face, and I just looked at him first, and then he just gave me a hug, and he started pouring out crying. I was like, I just
Yeah,
hugged
because
him. I was like, it's okay, I'm here now and you're here. So
oh
it's
my
it
gosh.
was it was that good, relief. But like I said, I didn't cry or nothing. So it was just kind of normal for me. But for him, I mean, of course, it was touching for him, because he never got to see me as a child. He only knows me as an adult that I am now, and not as a little girl. So for him, it was a big thing. You
That's a well, and you're still and you're young, and
Yeah,
so yeah, and so there's so many things that you're gonna do, and he's gonna get to be a part of that. So
yeah,
that's an amazing thing.
yes, it
And
is.
I know that you're still on the journey for your maternal mother. I believe that it's gonna happen. Something
I
is gonna
too.
happen. I believe it. Um, in wrapping up here, I always like to ask my final question. What would you say to any adoptee that is looking to go out on this reunification journey?
Um, well, I would say, if you are really wanting to reconnect and finding that, part that's missing of you, because I've always knew, like I said, and wanting to have a piece to be fulfilled, just go and search and find as much support from other people as you can to help you.
I
Because I had really, I reached out to people, and started to search, and I never gave up, even though I did have some downfalls and cries and all that. It's worth it. Even
okay.
the timing period is kind of, it's not gonna be your time, and it's gonna be whenever the time comes.
Every time you're not wrong about that. And I apologize. I actually do have one more question for
It's
you
okay, no problem.
about your adoptive family who you've gone no contact with. Do
Right.
you ever see that change?
No, I
Wow.
don't believe that changed because, as old people say, they're stuck in their ways. Nothing is going to change. And I'm sorry. And to me, I'm not gonna lie. I was raised up in like a old fashioned way. So being around a lot of older people, I mean,
Mhm.
I can fast and I speak with them pretty frequently. But yeah, they're
No.
they're not gonna change.
And because of that, you are protecting your peace.
Yes, I am.
Okay. I get that. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. It's an amazing story.
Thank
It's I think most of the reunification stories I've heard, either they found both or they found the maternal side. I think you're my first person that's only found the paternal side.
really.
Yeah. Because you just
That's
don't
different.
know. That's different. It is different. Yeah, it is different. Even myself, I've not found my paternal side yet.
Okay.
Stay tuned. It's coming. Again, thank you so much for sharing your story. Um, we'll have to keep up with you because when you find that maternal side, you're coming back because
Okay.
we're gonna need the tea. We're gonna need that story. All
Okay.
right. Thank you, family, for joining us on another episode. And until next week, bye, family.
Bye.